Welcome to Women Don't Do That, where we empower you with inspiration, knowledge, and skills to redefine your boundaries and unleash your potential. I'm Stephanie Minton, founder and CEO of Beacon North Strategies and your guide. Small town girl turned CEO while navigating career, motherhood, ADHD, and chronic migraines. Our conversations range from interviews with visionary women to solo episodes filled with actionable insights. We are your hub for turning what ifs into let's go. Are you ready to redefine your possible? Let's get started. Today's guest on the podcast is Suzanne Grant. If you recognize that name, it's because she has been here before. For part one, she is the executive director of the Capital Angel Network. She has many different roles, has worn many different hats throughout her career. And in part one, we talk all about her life and career and advice she has for women, and she really has done some amazing things, so check that part out. But today we are going to talk about her role with the Capital Angel Network, which is all about investing. We talk about broader investing, we talk about it from the perspective of being a founder, looking for funding, but also how to become an investor. What time is right to do that? Is angel investing right? How much money do you need to even do that? And so it's really interesting episode if you're curious about these things or just want to learn about them, or if you're ready to take those next steps. I hope that you will check out this interview. Welcome, Suzanne.
Hi, Stephanie.
It's so nice to have you back to do part two.
I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here and dig into the meat here.
You're the executive director of the Capital Angel Network. And of course, you wear many hats. And if people listen to part one, they can learn all about the career and the different things that you're up to. But can you tell us more about what does the organization do?
Capital Angel Network. Essentially, what we do is we find people who are interested in investing in early stage Canadian technology companies. And we find the most exceptional founders in Canada, and we create an environment where investment can happen. So we create community, we have some structure, and every month we get to listen to three founders tell their story about how they're changing the world.
Mhm. It's such an amazing thing. And having been to one of your educational sessions, I got a bit of a glimpse into the beginnings of how these things work. And so I'm really happy to have you here to unpack some of that today. For people who maybe this is a new conversation, we hear lots of words shared
Mhm.
around. So what's the difference for angel investing versus like venture capital?
Right. So there's different buckets, different ways people can invest, say, in technology companies. So you've got venture capital, and then sometimes you have family office, you have angel. Then we're familiar with public markets. So you can go and invest in Apple on the public market. So venture capital essentially is a fund. Somebody's gathered a fund. So they've put together an investment thesis and they say, we are going to invest in, I'll take my friend Eric over at Maple Bridge, for example. They invest in early stage immigrant founders in a few sectors. So they have an investment thesis, and they find people that are interested in that investment thesis, and they invest large check sizes, and they tend to be a little bit more mature companies than angels will be in, but that it's all shifting. It really depends where people like to play. So there's lots of opportunities to jump into a venture fund. As the investor, basically, you write the check, you give the fund the check, and in some cases, you might have something to say about who is being invested into if you were on the committee, but usually you're entrusting your money with their experts to deploy those funds. And angel investing, you can do it through a group like Capital Angel Network, or you can do it on your own. It's just essentially, I'm cutting my own check and I'm investing it into the company that I want to invest it in. So the difference that we hear on the other types or how angel investing compares to this other types of investment is there's a more targeted, curated opportunity to invest according to your values. So we
Mm.
have some investors who like to invest in women. We have some investors that are so specific. It's like, I like to cut the first check for people who are underestimated, who maybe won't get a shot somewhere else, and my check will make a difference to get them going and help them fly. And we've got some that will, we call it sector agnostic. And what that means is they will invest in what they think is great, is a great investment. And they're not, and then we have some people that will invest in climate tech or health tech. You have some people who only want to invest in like fem tech, like technology, life sciences that are supporting women's health. So there's a lot of opportunity to craft and curate your own investment thesis according to your values or where you want to make a difference in the
Mm-hmm.
world. In our groups, in our angel groups in Canada, typically we are set up to invest in Canadian companies. So
Mm-hmm.
investing through an angel group in Canada is usually, not always, but usually Canadians investing in Canadians.
Okay, very interesting. So why might a founder seek out an angel investment and at what stage?
Right. Great question. So first of all, there's different kinds of angels. So
Mm.
if a founder is starting a company, usually a VC, it depends on where the venture capitalist is playing, what round. So there's a little bit of terminology here. If you look at the funding rounds, it'll just give it some structure. It might be too much, but first checks are maybe into a company would be what's called friends and family. I'm going to go to people I know. And I actually include network in that. It's not just friends and family, but it's like not a whole round. It's I'm looking for somebody who's interested in what I'm doing and they'll put some money in. For example, I had when I had my startup, one of my first investors was actually my intern. I had no idea. He asked if he could invest. And then an angel group will usually be part of a more structured round. Why the founders are going there is it's early stage. There's not a lot of data. They don't have a lot of track record. They may have some sales, they may have early signs of traction, but there's not enough of a data set to really extrapolate. So the angels are really investing in the team and the idea and the space, but before there's real strong data there. So the founders are coming because they're too early for VC. Sometimes they're coming to angel when they could go to venture capital just because they're finding it's a more trusted network. It's less ruthless.
Mm.
And the angel checks come with the money and the network and
Mm.
that energy around you that we want to see you succeed and expertise. So you may get some free advice. Now, when you're a founder, the advice you need, um, you're growing really quickly. Not just your company is growing, but you as a leader are growing very quickly. So maybe every 6 months, what you need an advisor might change. So there might just be a window in time where that person's a good advisor. It depends on their expertise. So
Mm.
we have some of our angels in our group, for example, who end up being invited in to be the chair of a company. We have a company called Realize Medical. They create a pre-surgical 3D experience using virtual reality glasses for surgeons to practice heart surgery before they go into surgery. So
Mm.
it's very specific. And one of our members is a chair. He's coming from a medical background and he chairs that company. So and also you can be an angel investor and be passive. You can choose to put your check in with a group that's already done due diligence. and, sit back and wait. So there's many ways of playing within that space. I think as the asset class becomes more mature, what we're
Mm,
finding is that, like anything that becomes mature, you're learning about the different needs of the different niches inside, or target or segmented, investors. They're looking for different things. So
right.
that's a challenge and an opportunity all at once. Something that I think is really interesting is the next generation. How will they want to be investing? Are we up to it, or do we need to make some changes? You always need to be making changes.
That's also a good piece of advice. When you look at your network,
Hmm?
and I think you said your focus is tech, right? So different, from what I understand, like different parts of Canada or different cities, like we're known for tech in Ottawa. So that's one of the areas you guys focus there. So there's different networks that focus on different things. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you have a community of people, and each of the angel groups in Ontario rather develop their own personality, we call it. Well, I guess it's not their own personality. I'd say it's more their own culture. So
Mm,
you have a group of people, and then that culture will shift as market shifts and interest shifts and new opportunities come to play, but also as new people join the group. Right now, we've got some, you know, real strong check writers in health and in also in climate, and,
mm,
and people also, investors have phases of life. Sometimes we've got some investors that have been with us since 2010, and we've
mm.
got investors sometimes that will come in for 4 years, deploy some capital, and say, okay, I'm done, I'm moving on. Because it can be it can be time intensive depending on
Mm.
what approach to it is.
Right, very interesting. So, what are some of the different types of programming that happen at your network?
So I'll start with, if you're a member and you're coming in for what we call the investment cycle. There's many ways to volunteer. We are a volunteer organization, actually. Capital Angel Network would not hum without all of our volunteers. And we are seen by the ecosystem as one of the best angel networks or groups in Canada. So yeah, so a typical experience of a member would be once a month we have a membership meeting where they'll do some networking, they're socializing, they'll see three founders give presentations, they'll get time to spend with that founder. I am I am always amazed, and I find this piece actually addictive. It's like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing next in my life, but I couldn't live my month without seeing those very creative founders come
Mm,
and share their ideas and show how they're using technology and creativity to solve problems, essentially. And then if the investors are interested, then they can come to a follow-on meeting. The first presentation is 7 minutes and Q&A, so it moves fast. And then this morning, for example, and yesterday, I did two-hour sessions where we sit down and talk more in depth with the founders about their businesses. And it would be similar to diving into a business plan. We don't use that word so much in startup. That's really what it is. It's kicking the tires of the business, how robust it is, where it's going. And so that's what we call a deep dive. And then if those investors are interested, they'll start doing due diligence. So usually what due diligence means is we're just going to validate that what we understand of the business is true. So we're going to talk to um, customers to see if what the experience is for the customer, and then they'll say, okay, let's write a check, and we'll gather and see who's in, who's out, and never any pressure for anybody to write a check in our
right.
group. Everybody respects that everybody has their own thesis, sometimes somebody will say, oh, I've got to renovate my house. I'm out this year. Like things happen, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
right? Life happens.
Yes.
And so time can change. Sometimes people's kids are getting into activities. They got three of them, uh, can't manage the time. So it's very unique to the circumstances of the investor. So that's our investment cycle. That happens 9 times a year, relatively monthly, except for when people are traveling or at the cottage. And then beyond that, we have a couple of things that we do to engage the community. So we are community builders. We do like to bring everybody together. So once a year, we'll do a big gathering called Mashup, which is really fun, but it's also learning in a very dynamic way. The whole goal is to forge relationships. A lot of people, founders, come into this without the right network. So we try to provide the opportunity for them to build relationships.
Mm.
So Mashup, we bring 250 folks together. This year, May, I guess it was, June, we had 99 founders, 50 some investors, and then leaders from the community come and join in. And the theme is celebrating entrepreneurs and their champions.
Mm.
Because behind every entrepreneur, there's a lot of people quietly from the ecosystem, investors, and beyond, just
Mm.
that all pull together.
Right. And then for people who I know you also run some programming around like what is angel investing, how to get engaged in
Yeah,
it. Can you speak to that a
yeah.
bit?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we have so other than that, celebrating bringing the community together, and also I want to say that since we changed the tagline for Mashup, we see across the ecosystem in the city people using those same words:
Mm.
championing founders, celebrating founders. This is really important. When I came into the ecosystem from this side, I saw a lot of like critiques, like we need to celebrate our founders. If they're in a business that's not going to go anywhere, it doesn't matter. They're doing the thing, and we need more of it in Canada. So we've got a couple of learning opportunities. So one you went to called Angel 101. Our chair, Jennifer Francis, leads that. And it's kind of an overview of all things angel investing, not necessarily about our group, more general, that is free to the public. She's also going to be putting on something like that. Same idea, it's Founder 101. And that is for founders who want to understand exactly where we started off this conversation.
Mm.
What is the difference between VC and angel? When do I go to angel? When do I go to VC? Like, how do they know that, right? So, so she'll be running that, and then we have something. This will be the third year we'll be doing Can Labs, and this year the theme of Can Labs is raising expectations and momentum.
Mm.
We know that the number one thing that founders need to make their rounds close is momentum in the round. And just like if you're doing a PR launch or a product launch, that doesn't just happen. There's a lot of planning that goes into that. So we've created an investment readiness assessment as well as a playbook, and they can come and we have a whole day. We've got a couple digital sessions. All of the learning comes straight from investors, and this is different from
Mm.
accelerators. I love program managers. I guess in this case, I am a program manager, producer, designer, but the learning is mainly coming directly from the investors. And when you're in this environment of learning together, you're forging relationships as well.
Mhm.
That are like, you don't want to be waiting until you're ready for investment to shake the hand of an investor for the first time,
Right.
right? So when I was raising, they always said, like, ask for an advisor first. And that's what I did in my company. I asked for an advisor, and he ended up investing $500,000 into my startup. So, and then we've expanded on that. So that's called Can Labs for the founders. And we said, okay, there's some hesitation some overwhelm almost in angel investing. Like there's a lot to learn. Some people
Mm.
will just dive in. You can learn very quickly in our group because you're amongst peers. It's the fastest and best way to learn. Some people feel intimidated by that. So we've added beyond this Angel 101, we've added Invest Labs this year. So
Mm.
you're sitting with the founders in their Can Labs. You're coming together, you're watching their pitches, you are in the same group, everybody's getting to see how the other thinks. And on top of that, there's a specific stream. So there's a master class for angel investing, and there's a developing your thesis as
Mm.
well for investing. So that's new. That's a pilot, and that is a paid. So that's kind of for somebody who's thinking about going into angel investing. They're not ready to dive right in.
Mhm.
They're kind of halfway, or maybe they've just joined and they want to catch up faster and have more confidence. But we have a lot of like we have a whole bank of materials of these. When we do our member meetings, we also often do peer learning inside of those that investment cycle member meetings.
Mhm.
So we record those. So for example, this month we did Welsh helped us with taxation at exit. So when you get your returns, what does that look like? And then this month, we're working with the Technology Innovation Management program that's part of the Sprott School of Business at Carleton. They're
Mhm.
coming in to break down what opportunities within AI, within
Mm.
artificial intelligence, is actually a good investment for somebody writing smaller checks. So that the check
Mm.
size for angel investment typically is 25,000. It can be less, it can be more, but that's like sort of the average.
Okay. So if somebody wants to get started, they're looking at 10 to 20,000.
That's usually what the founders will ask for. We've got a lot of investors with us that write smaller checks. When so what's happening from the founders side is they have some they have some guardrails around what's called a capitalization table. So once they have a certain number of investors in their group, the regulatory, the the securities commission will start putting some boundaries on them. So they're trying to avoid that. And also, depending on how their paperwork is written up, if they need signatures, they don't want too many people to have to chase. So they try to keep their cap table clean, it's called. So relatively small. So that's part and not chase after so many signatures. So they prefer to have the larger checks go.
Hmm.
But when somebody's investing in an angel group, we can negotiate that for them and say, hey, listen, if we have 4 or 5 people coming in, can we just tack on this like smaller check as well?
Hmm.
And they might say yes, they might say no. Depends.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. And then, so for people who are interested, and I know this because I've been on it, that your website is really good and that you also have, you can sign up for email so then you can stay informed about when some of these opportunities come up.
Yeah. So we have a pretty active LinkedIn page as well for people that
Okay.
like to go there. We have Instagram, which is different, but LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn page for Capital Angel Network, I like to sort of populate that with here's what's happening for our portfolio companies. Here's some exciting things that are going on for them.
Mhm.
For example, one of our recent investments I'm really proud of. It's a new Canadian who came to Canada to do her master's degree. She's a chemist, and she started this AI company called X Atoms. Basically, they use artificial intelligence to discover molecules. Like I'm not a chemist, so I had to learn a little bit about this. And they form these powders that they put into water in developing countries. And when sunlight interacts with those molecules, it cleans the water. So it's just absolutely phenomenal. Last week, Diana won the G20 Pitch Award. So Canada was on representing Canada. She's a Canadian now.
Yeah.
And so that's just a big deal, you know,
Yeah.
that's really great. We need those kinds of wins. And
Yes.
she was raising some numbers of hundreds of thousands of dollars. She was very well surrounded by support. You know, she's just out of university and I think she raised in under a year $3 million to get
Oh my
her
gosh.
started. And now there's 12 people working there. They're absolutely brilliant as well.
Oh,
Learn
wow.
fast, like learn everything fast, you know, and
Wow.
open to learning, like just
Right.
big sponge, you know.
Yes. I have a
Call
lot to
me,
learn, so I'll
call
take it
me,
in.
call me on a Saturday morning and tell me she's got a problem and this is how she wants to solve it. And I'm like, you have to find a different way of solving it. No, that's not going to work. So, you know, it's just incredible.
That does sound incredible. Very exciting. When you first started talking about her, I'm like, oh, chills, full body chills. It's so
It
exciting.
is, it is pretty cool. And you know, the grit, she took a bus in late October in a dark, rainy day last year, a year ago, like ish, right? We're just the first day of October here. Um, so yeah, so 5 o'clock in the morning, she's on a bus, she's presenting to us in the evening. Everything wraps. We're in Canada. Everything wraps at 8:30 at night. And she comes over to me and she said, can you give me a ride to the bus? I'm like, sure. Where's the bus? And it's like, if you're from Ottawa, it's the IKEA parking lot. Like there's not a bus shelter. There's nothing. And it was freezing. And they were going to wait for the bus until I think midnight. And I'm like, no, I'm taking you to dinner. Like I can't do that. I cannot drop you in the middle of nothing.
Yes.
So yeah, so I got to know them, and so that was a really long mentoring session. And my rule is I never will let a founder pay for a check if I'm out
Mm.
to dinner, because I was a starving founder once.
Yes. Yes.
It's
That's,
real.
yeah,
It's
yeah. That's very sweet. I'm so excited to share that NextGen 2026 has officially launched. My company, Beacon North Strategies, founded and co hosted this event with NHM Connect. NextGen has become a leading national professional development event for Canadian public affairs and government relations practitioners and those aspiring to join the sector. It's all about building skills, making connections, and preparing for what's next in our field. Early bird tickets are available now. Find all the details on the Beacon North website, and we'll include the link in the show notes. Can you talk to us about that women-led startup space and what it's like for women or some of the challenges they face? Like what do we need to know about that?
I want to start with sort of overview and a one problem. So when we look at the data in Canada and we look at the percentage of CEOs running tech companies who are women, it's shocking. It's 4%.
Mm.
I know Canadians, you think we're progressive, but we're way behind on this metric, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the fastest way that we can change that is investing in women, because then they're in the CEO seat, they're building up, and then they're hiring more. So we do hear that there are challenges for women who are raising capital. I'd say that the data, when we look at the venture capital data, supports that.
Right.
Right. So this is the thing that motivated me to join Capital Angel Network. It was that people who are underestimated and brilliant, but can't be seen for their brilliance, get
Mm.
seen for their brilliance. because they don't need my help. They need the shot,
Mhm.
right? They need the shot. And there's a lot of data, uh, you know, culminated. There's studies that are done by venture capital firms who weren't looking for it to be good data for women, but there's a lot of data that demonstrates that women entrepreneurs outperform. I'm sorry, but they outperform their male counterparts. And there's a lot of data that supports as well that women are also very strong, stronger than their all male counterparts on an investment. Now, part of that is diversity. It's not a pretty word anymore, but it's still real.
Mm,
So if you have people all think the same way, then the richness of your decisions is not going to be the same when you have multiple viewpoints.
mhm.
So there still are challenges within our group. I'm not observing biases at all. I'm very proud of the people that I get to rub shoulders with, our members at Capital Angel Network. There's been a lot of intentional work done for a long
Mm,
time. Like our chair is 10 years old, 10 years in the seat. She has been working on this. We created this program called Shibu that spun out to be its own organization. And it was all about, or it is all about, helping women founders get investment ready and helping women investors or would-be investors learn to sit on boards, learn about the space, and learn to become investors, and they make investments. And so over time, we've got more women cutting checks at Capital Angel Network. So we have more diversity in the screening and selection and investment decision making. And last year, it's not a strong enough number, but it's probably one of the highest in Canada. We had 37% of our first time checks and our follow on. We do investments in follow on rounds. 37% of those deals were led by women CEOs. Not that there was a woman on the founding team, the leader, the CEO, the
Wow.
founder was
Yeah.
leading them. And we just had, and it's, I don't try, I'm not intentional about gender diversity when I'm looking for founders because they just are showing up. So we just had a member meeting a week ago, and we had two women founders and one male founder. It was exceptionally competitive, I guess. At selection, we had three women founders and three male founders. It's purely, and the selection process is based on merit and where we think the investment is going to happen. So I just think that women rock as entrepreneurs and as investors. And at the same time, there is a difference in, this is very general, but we do see a difference in women liking, or maybe we're socialized to be very certain because we're so used to getting punched around if we're not perfect.
Mm,
So we do see men being happy to jump right in there and get to it and not worry if they're doing it right, and women being a little more careful to get going, more thoughtful. And I in that from the data is actually why they're better investors. And they're
mm,
they're a little bit, now we got to be careful. These are very generalities, but the data also shows that they're just better with deploying capital, looking at the returns and how far they stretch that capital are stronger, which counts right now in
mhm.
the market. It didn't count 5 years ago. It was like how much can you get? How fast can you blow through it? Like that is not the
Right.
way we're thinking. So
Right.
yeah.
S Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's fantastic and very interesting to hear the data and hear about some of the positive things that you guys are working on from the investor space or for women building wealth. Why is that so important?
Oh. because wealth puts you at those tables where you're making decisions. It's not the only way,
Mm.
right? It's not the only way. I won't say who she is, but there is there's somebody I know who sold her company, her tech company, and her next goal was to be on a board, and she wasn't getting on a board. So, you know, she can write a check and get on a board. So I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but wealth, I don't like the word power at all, but
Mm.
wealth can give you influence, but certainly gives you security. And security also can embolden you to give you the opportunity to make more mistakes or just call your own shots,
Right.
as opposed to having to follow somebody else's decisions, right?
Right. Yeah. And if you knew someone, Suzanne, who maybe had the financial means or was starting to and hadn't really considered investing, what would you say to encourage them to start to get into that space?
I would say what I say to folks that get on the phone with me and they're thinking the same thing. I would tell them or encourage them, join an angel network. You don't need to make an investment.
Mm.
You can come in and observe for a year. You can learn by just being in the room, and you can make an investment where you feel it's right for you.
Mm.
I don't encourage people to make investments into early stage technology companies unless that is discretionary investment money.
Hmm.
Is high risk, high reward. So, there is sort of this power law of, there's this power law of, in order to de-risk, you're going to want to make a lot of investments. So you want to be sure that you're not putting too much of your investment. It should be a small percentage, 5 to 10% of your investments towards this high risk, or whatever your risk
Right.
appetite is,
So if somebody's new to investing, then they, like you're saying, a certain percentage, but should they be investing in other things first and then they enter angel investing? Or can it be one of the first things they do? Like, how does
it,
that?
it, it's okay, but it's like they should have an investment portfolio that this is a percentage of. So
Right.
I guess, it would be better for them to have some investments, but that might be their RSP, right?
Right,
Like
right, right. Yeah.
it could be their investment kitty, or or
Right.
or it could be, I've got a property I invested in and I want to diversify. So angel investing is really about diversifying your portfolio of investments.
Hmm.
You could start there if you were just disciplined about how you're how you're putting your money into investments, whatever that structure is, because I think that's unique to every
Okay.
person as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. So what's next for Capital Angel Network?
Oh my gosh, we are humming. We just got back from summer, and let me see, November is our big month for Can Labs and Invest Labs. So the deadline for the founders to apply is 6 October. We'll probably push it out another week. And then for the investors who are interested in coming into Invest Labs, first week in November, if they
Okay.
reach out to us, that would be good. We only have 20 seats. This is a boutique pilot that we're running. Uh,
Hmm.
we, there's, I'm a busy person, you are. Most of my meetings are 15 minutes so that I can get around to everybody. And there's that space that we take for long form dialogue and conversation. So there's a whole day of people spending together, and a lot of value comes out of that. We have a
Yeah.
smaller group of people, so the relationship building and the learning is very high. It's very
Hmm.
experiential, I guess you'd call it.
Right. As we were prepping for this interview, you were sharing that you've been up to some exciting things or thinking about some things for yourself. Can you talk about that as we close things off?
Yeah. So I was recently, I put up my hand to volunteer, or I was invited to volunteer in the summer to be a judge for a veteran pitch competition. It was new. It was the first of its kind. I said, sure. And for whatever reason, by the end of the day, the CEO of the Veteran Business Network Institute invited me to be a founding board member of this new organization. And it has recently gone national. Like, this is only a number of months old. And it's got funding by commissioners and Veterans Affairs, and I believe some corporate in it as well. So veterans make great founders as well. And
Mm,
we don't always see, like, a founder can be anybody, right?
mm,
But if you
mhm.
take somebody who's coming trained for the battlefield, trained to win, which means survive,
Yes.
in chaos, there's a there's a lot of skills there, and they are very often underestimated in the world as well. And sometimes they're speaking a different language. That's part of it. So I'm really proud to come in and help. And there's a big full circle there for me. One of my friends, I originally met her in high school, and I have intersected with her multiple times in my life. She's just started an AI company
Mm.
with her husband, who is a what do you call it? A, a flight, like a test pilot. So
Mhm.
he'll go up in a jet for the first time it's being flown and test it. Like, it's very so
Yeah,
they are creating they're using AI to help people learn how to fly jets.
very cool.
It is really cool. So I invited her to come. I said this. So there's a pitch competition coming up for that in October as well. And so yeah, so I'm bringing her into the fold, and that will grow really quickly. So that's pretty exciting. And then I'm working on my own thing. I call it Stealth. It's not launched yet, but I'm going deeper into the investment assessment. So if you join my group, we'll give you an investment readiness assessment, some feedback. You'll know where you're at, and I'm looking at doing um, in-person group sessions, mind trusts with founders who are in the same sector and in the same space for peer learning and support. What I love most about my job is helping those founders get their deals over the line, across the
Mm,
line.
right.
uh, that's where my sweet spot is in deal making. And in making deals should be natural. We make them complicated. it's
Right.
it's just human nature how we deal with people. So yeah, I
Right.
love that stuff. I've got to share it. It's in me. I've got to
Yeah. Well,
spread
thank
it
you so much for
around.
sharing that. I can see I'm like just uh, your brain thinking and different times when you're speaking, just the things that you're excited about. And it's also really nice to see someone get so passionate, excited about helping other people too, right? Because sometimes we just get kind of stuck in our little bubble, but the things that you are doing and investing in people in the early stages of their business is changing lives, and it's very exciting, and it's at a time especially globally but also in Canada where we need some positive exciting
I
thinking.
really, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
Because so I think we all have opportunities to help people see their spark,
Hmm.
and we don't always take that opportunity. So whatever is in front of you that is just delightful, like, why
Mhm.
not share it? Like, I see this
Yeah.
in you. And so maybe 2, 3 years ago, there was a deep tech company come through, and the chief technology officer, she was really smart. Well, so was the CEO. But in that meeting, I said to the CEO, you're very fortunate to have a technology founder co-founder who really understands business. Like, this is a gift. That's all I said. So she shows up as a mentor of a young woman who's looking for investment, a tech founder. And she's on this call. And I'm like, are you still with your company? What's going on? She said, so at the end of the call, she said, I have to share something with you. She said, I've really been wanting to tell you this. She said, you know, at the time that I met you and you told me this, what I was hearing from the world was, you don't know anything about business. You don't know enough about business. You're a tech founder. You don't. And then I came along and I said, hey, you've really got this knack for this. I see it. I called it. She's now the CEO of that company.
Wow.
And she said that part of the reason that she's the CEO of that company is she heard me and she believed it, right? So she believed herself, what she probably already knew, but people were gaslighting her. And so she pushed out on that and she became the CEO and the COO, and they're in the right places because that's her thing.
Wow.
So,
That's a great, exciting thing.
words are powerful.
Yes.
And especially our negative words are powerful in the wrong way. And so, keep celebrating brilliance and energy. And thank you, Stephanie, for what you do for celebrating women. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for those parting words. It's a perfect way to wrap up our conversation on something extremely positive. And thank you for sharing your time and advice again with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Women Don't Do That. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating or review. Connect with us on Instagram at Women Don't Do That and visit our website www.womendon'tdothat.com for more details. Join our Patreon to support our work. Find all of the links in the show notes. Remember, you have the power to transform your what ifs into let's go. Together, let's redefine your possible. Until next time. The opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Women Don't Do That, Stephanie Mitten, or affiliated brands.